Remember, Bugner's had so much experience, really. 427 professional rounds. He didn't have that many as an amateur. He only had 14, of which he lost 2. He did box for Young England when he was only 16 and a half. He looks in good shape, I must say. Second round then. Well, certainly Bugner's looking better this time than he did, I think, against Winston Allen and Eddie Nilsson. He treated them a bit too much with contempt, and they gave him a good fight as a result of it. 3 rounds and 5 rounds. I think he's being just a little wary of this fellow who's knows the ropes, been around a bit. Dennis actually managed by the Petronelli brothers, who also handled the great middleweight champion Marvin Hagler. But they're not here with him tonight. They've sent their representatives. And Dennis is just not doing enough work, as they say in the professional game yet. He's on the receiving end a bit too much. Well, this is an aggressive Joe Bugner indeed, but Dennis managed to remind him that he was still there and a little bit dangerous. Minute to go then in the second round, scheduled for 10. And both have a good record, really, of staying the distance in fights. And Dennis talking about lack of heart with Bugner. I'm not sure whether he heard that. Wasn't too pleased about that. In fact, I think he did hear it. Oh, well, there you are. He signalled that one from the back of the crowd, and he got away with the second one. Not only telegraphed the punch, he almost sent a postcard before he threw it. Well, it might be a bit early to judge, but I'm wondering now how Terry Loyalist and Frank... Let's have a look at replay while later we can talk to Frank. That's where he's got him back on the ropes there. And he really is fairly accurately with that. Well, it was a good flurry, really, there from Bugner. So third round then, and Bugner having won the first 2 because simply that Dino Dennis wasn't throwing enough leather back. Vast improvement, isn't it, from the first 2 fights? If you saw them on ITV with Bugner, he looks a lot better this time. Oh! And they must have heard me say that, because there aren't too many fighters who knock Dennis over with a right hand like that, and the referee's going to stop this because his legs buckled on him. I'm sure he'll probably protest, but it's always better to stop a contest too early than too late, and Bugner really was looking the part then, and that right hand was an absolute beauty, just at the point that I was saying, well, he's certainly looking a lot better here. And he just saved from being counted out there. Dennis, he created at least that record, the indignity of not having been. He was a little bit upset when he stood up, but really his knees totally buckled on him, and he didn't have much chance at all there. That punch was a beauty. And I said before that I didn't think Bugner was noted really for big punching power, but to do it against a tried and very tested performer like Dino Dennis was a good performance. It was only 40 seconds of round 3 I made that. A cuddle there for the trainer, and rightly so, and Marlene Bugner, who's been just behind me there, was obviously very satisfied with that. And of course sympathies go to Dino Dennis's wife and mother, who were here in the audience. But this new arena at Alexandra Pavilion in London, well, the atmosphere was good, and Bugner turned it on for them. There was no question about that. So well, let's have a look now at the slow motion of that knockout punch. There it is, right over the top, caught him on the head first, then that was the lead up to the knockout punch, and there again, bang, right on the chin that missed him. The left hook came in and bangs his head there against the pads, and he just keeps going all the time, Bugner. Dennis missing absolutely with a punch there, but it wasn't in fact the knockout punch point in that corner. He sized up again for it, looking for the opening, and Dino Dennis moving towards Bugner's right hand at this point, and there it goes. A picture punch if I've ever seen one. So if we can get into the melee of the ring, let's hear Simon talking to the winner.
Well done, Joe. That was some right hand, wasn't it?
Thank you, Simon. I have been practicing it quite a bit. I just wished it would have been Rodriguez, because I think on my fans out there and over here, they deserve the win. And by God, you know, with the boxing the way it is, this is the only way to do it for them. You know, give them something to talk about and
right,
be excited.
The first 2 rounds were your rounds, but there were signs that he was very durable then. Were you getting a little bit frustrated that he wasn't showing any signs of going?
Well, Simon, as far as I know, this man has been stopped on cuts before, but never been on the deck so fast and with such a... Mind you, it was a great right hand, wasn't it?
It was almost as good as you've thrown, really, wasn't it? Let's have a look at it. I think we can see it in slow motion now. Here it comes, Joe. So we're halfway through the 3rd round. And he said you had no heart.
Yeah, well, it just shows you, doesn't it, Simon? You don't need heart to throw right hands like that.
Over the top.
There we go. Did you feel that one all the way through?
Yes, I'll show you my knuckle afterwards.
That's a promise.
Look at the face on that poor fella.
Did you feel, though, as tight as you have throughout your career before that fight?
Well, you see, Simon, I knew that this man was a world contender. I also knew that he was a very durable character. So what Ernie Fossey said to me, Joe, take your time, just stick the jab and come up with the right-hander as soon as the bell goes. And Ernie, being as smart as he is, by Jove, he done a good job, didn't he?
Right, Ernie, you're going to take some credit for that, are you?
Oh, no, Joe done the fighting, not me. And I just know, you know, I honestly believe that Joe can be the world champion. He's never believed in himself, and now he does. It's confidence, Simon, nothing else.
Right. There's one thing I can tell you is that as a fella in the studio, Joe, who's watching the fight, his name's Frank Bruno. Have you got a message for him?
I just want to tell you, Frank, out there, if you're looking in, take heed. These are rated fighters. Before you tackle Joe Bugner, be ready.
Right, well, there's the word for you. And back in the studio, Frank Bruno's with Brian Moore. Brian, you can take it up from there.
Hi, Brian.
Well, thank you, Simon. Frank, what about that, first of all?
Well, it was a good right hand, Brian.
But what Joe was saying to you,
well,
these are rated fighters.
Rated fighters.
Watch and listen and learn from that.
I wish my next fighter could be Joe Bugner, you know, so I can prove who's the daddy.
That was a tremendous punch,
It was a tremendous punch, very good punch, but if a young, determined, strong youngster went at him all the time, I think he'll crack up under the pressure, to be quite honest.
You do. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Really